Hey everyone, this is episode 41 of Noodle Time. Welcome back. OSG actually just came over to cancel the episode due to the weather. I'm not sure if that's gonna be the case though because it stopped lightning for the past 3 hours, but because the lightning struck like a few miles away from the stadium, we're gonna go ahead and cancel the episode and don't reschedule it because I say so.
No,
Does that sound
we're gonna
okay?
let you talk for about an hour, and then we're gonna cancel it, and then let you
Gotcha.
sit in the stadium and just think about it for a little while, and then we're gonna tell you, never mind, the game is canceled. So you go straight to the bad. The-
I mean, might as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's the bad and the ugly, and then the good is Dose and Dynamo getting victories. So so we're kind of up and high today, up and down today. So, but what's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, we just came out of the Dynamo 2 game, and this time it was a good one because they ended up with a 4-1 win on the road against Sporting Kansas City 2. And we're going to go ahead and review that all the way towards the end because it was the last game of the week. And as always, we're going to go ahead and review all the games in chronological order and preview their upcoming games as well. And also, we're going to go ahead and talk about the newest Dynamo signing, the 21-year-old Nigerian forward Ibrahim Aliyu, coming to Houston in a 3 year contract, not alone, which I thought was pretty interesting. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and talk a little bit more about that all the way towards the end. But yeah, it was a pretty good week, honestly. The I guess the good news is that the only bad thing was the Dash losing because the Dynamo and Dynamo 2 did pretty okay. Well, Dynamo 2, Dynamo, the first team, did kind of bad in the Open Cup game, but we can go ahead and talk a little bit in a bit. But yeah, it was just odd. But Dynamo 2, though, kudos to them.
Yeah. A little different feelings each friggin' week is what we're getting into now. But at least we got the Dynamo win, even though it wasn't the prettiest of wins in Tampa Bay. And then as you keep bringing up the dang weather involved with the Dash losing 1-0, only played 52 minutes of a game because of weather and
Quotation marks,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that turned into a completed game, whatever. But then Dose had a very good game just now in SKC, like you said, and had a couple penalty kicks in there as well. So that the offense looks like it was clicking tonight. And man, when we get to that episode, the Gonzalez's took this game over today, in my opinion. But uh, I
Yep.
say it's an okay weekend. Besides the friggin' frustrating dash on Friday, it was a little weird though. Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So it's just I kind of felt weird this weekend. No Dynamo on Saturday, and so I just watched some random soccer on Saturday, just some random MLS and a little bit of NWSL too. Orlando was beating, I think it was San Diego on Saturday night. So
Oh, yeah, that was so odd.
mixing it up a little bit. But yeah, I guess let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the Dynamo. They played on Wednesday their first Open Cup game of the year against the Tampa Bay Rowdies at Outline Stadium. It was like their repurposed baseball stadium, like we chatted last week with RBLR Rowdies. And shout out to them again for coming out and joining us for that episode. And only because it helped understand the team, because I knew for a fact that the Rowdies were not a bad team at all, even though they were in a pretty poor form. And coming into this game, the Dynamo looked pretty off, considering that they were essentially just having their fourth starting lineup aside from Brooklyn Reigns and Andrew Charbel. I thought that was a game that they had to essentially put the game away and and just get it under control, especially towards the second half because they lost control as well.
Yeah, man. Well, since you mentioned it's Open Cup game, so we did not know what kind of lineup we were going to get completely. So we were kind of surprised when we did see the lineup. So we'll just run through it real quick. Tarble in the goal, so that one was kind of expected. The back line. Chase Gasper got the start on the left back, and then Hadebi, Bartlow, and Stairs get the other three spots. So Gasper over there on the left was a kind of little surprise to us. Hector Herrera surprised that he was getting a start playing in this Open Cup game, and then Sacero and Reigns getting the play instead of Coco and Arthur. But Ache getting in there and getting some playing time for this Open Cup. So, it looks like we were taking it serious going into there. And then, of course, the top, what we've been wanting to see for the longest time is Bossy on the left, Fadea up top, and Barrett on the right. So I guess so we kind of got what we wanted. So, but so any comments on the lineup there besides the kind of the surprise that Gasper was a starter over there, and Fidea and Baird up top.
Man, Corey Barrett's a winger, such a weird concept, and save us starting. Like, what is this? Like, it must be my birthday or something because it's so odd. But I mean, Corey Barrett finally starting on the wing and Seba starting next to him. That's pretty somewhat shocking at this point. But I guess it was the results. I feel like it didn't favor Sebas only because he didn't have like a pretty good showing despite a couple opportunities to score. And Corey Baird, it's just one of those games that you say that, hey, Corey Baird played like crap, and he ends up getting the assist to Brooklyn Reigns. And it's just like, I don't know what to say. Is he playing bad or?
Hey, but so in MLS they do second assist as well. So Sebas got the second assist because he's the one who played. He's the one who
Right.
played Baird. Baird played it to Reigns, and Reigns took a touch and then put it into the goal. So that was just good play for Sebas to be. He was playing with his back to goal at midline, received the ball, turned, and he saw Baird making a run, and he played Baird. Baird made a nice touch, which was surprising. No, I'm just kidding. Baird made a nice touch, and then there's Brooklyn Reigns just making an intelligent run, coming right down the friggin' middle, and Baird plays it to him, and then Reigns takes care of business for the surprisingly only goal of the game. I mean, we did know Tampa Bay could be dangerous, and they played pretty well against us, and good for them how they played at home and in that odd looking field. But you know, but Fidea, at least he played okay. I don't think he did anything worth getting people all bent all over about him keep on starting. But yeah, like you said, Barron got the assist, but Fidea was in line with that too. Otherwise, neither one of them really kind of stood out that game to me. I don't think, as far as the offense, anybody stood out to me that game. It was just kind of another mediocre Dynamo Road game for some reason. So,
But yeah, and a couple other things I wanted to say about the lineup is I thought Chase Gasper had a pretty decent showing for his first start with the Dynamo. I also thought that he was subbed out for Franco Escobar in the second half, which I thought he had like a pretty poor game, uh, especially all the way towards the later on in the second half. And that's not just for Franco Escobar, but also that involves the team past the 75th, 80th minute. The Tampa Bay Rays kept pressuring, getting those opportunities in, and it looked like they were about to score, but somehow they weren't able to. And also just because of Andrew Tarbell stepping up big time to make a lot of key saves and plays to deny the Rowdies. And no, yeah, it was pretty sickening, honestly, because the like overall it just looked like I said before, they were about to score. Somehow they didn't manage to do that, and just going all the way towards the first half, uh, the how the ball was like distributed, it was off. Like the passing was off. We kept doing giveaways constantly, and we didn't have consistent possession overall, and this applies all the way, and this applies in the entire game because that happened, and and Brooklyn Reigns, we got a lucky break and we were able to get the goal in the back of the net. But unfortunately, we just looked pretty shoddy for I like to say 2/3 of the game, and we just looked pretty weak.
Well, I mean, that's like I said, it's your typical road Dynamo team, and that's how they like to play on the road for some reason. They don't click. I don't get it. You, those road and those home games are very important. It looks like 'cause we're playing super duper MLS Championship Cup team at home, and then on the road we're fighting and scrapping and getting lucky here. Well, this time we're getting lucky. I guess Red Bulls got lucky with the 1 point. Before that we weren't getting lucky because we lost all. But so they got to work on that. But I guess with they got 3 games coming up at home in what not 8 days or 9 days or whatever it is. So they've got some time to get a streak going at home and then take that momentum onto their next road game whenever that one is coming up. So figure it out on the road, boys. Come home and let's just get the oven cooking at the Shell.
No, yeah, they do have the 3 game homestand over the next couple weeks because we do have a Real Salt Lake coming in for the next game, and we also have the Open Cup game against Sporting Kansas City in the round of 32, and that's going to be a big one as well. And last but not least, we're hosting Seattle, and that's the game we have to put out a good result because Seattle's not going to come in and slosh you around. But and yeah, we just have to show out for all those 3 games, and it's going to be interesting because Rouse Lake and Seattle, they're no joke. And look, you can do whatever you want with Kansas City at this point, but you got to take those games seriously.
I think we're going to take all 3 seriously, and luckily we're at home for all 3, so there's no travel involved. So you're going to get your normal rest, and everybody should be just fit and should be ready to go. And it'll be up to Ben Olsen on how he wants to play it. But I'm pretty sure that he'll take them all 3 of them serious, and because you don't want to give up in the U.S. Open Cup, especially at home against one of your original rivals, SKC. And it was kind of funny because we were in that group. What was it? SKC. Oh yeah, New Mexico United and Austin FC was in the group for the draw
Yep.
So Austin got drawn first. They get the first home game, and then we got drawn. So we got the second. So we're like, oh, okay. Well, not going to be playing them. So which ones do we want next after that? And a lot of people were voting for New Mexico. We ended up getting SKC, and I'm good with that because what did they? They got us last year in the Open Cup and took us out. So kind of use this as a revenge game at the same time. But RSL and Seattle. RSL looked good last night against Seattle, even though nothing even happened in that game. So those two, I watched a little bit of that just to see what those two were doing and see what they're about. So, but we got a tough 3 games at home, but I think we'll take it serious. Ben Olsen will take it serious, and I just he's just gonna have to time it with the guys, and just anybody who looks exerted, then just chillax on them. So this will be a good time where the death comes in handy. Hopefully, Brad Smith can get some minutes out of this too.
No, yeah. And I just wanted to say as well, shout out to the Dynamo Communications team for setting up
Yes.
that stream for the Open Cup.
Yes.
They came in clutch because a few days ago, like before the game started, Tampa Bay came out and said that they were not going to stream the game, and that was ridiculous. There were only like of all the Open Cup games that were happening that week, only 3 or 4 were not being streamed, and we were one of those. Up until the Dynamo Communications team set up a stream on Twitter, and we were able to watch the game. That was the only way to watch the game. It was just for that camera that was set up like all the way up in the and like it felt like the grandstand, but it was like all the way in the right corner of the grandstand, and yeah, even though it wasn't like the most ideal stream, at the same time, it was something, and I thought the stream wasn't bad at all, especially the definition, like the it was like the camera was pretty good, and I think that was Edgar Valise, the coordinator, handling the camera because he was posting pictures of the setup, and it was just like his computer with like a little adapter connected to the camera, and that was it.
They say they saved everybody's lives, man. They saved everybody's lives because we
Yeah,
wanted to watch that game so friggin' bad. So shout out to Edgar and the team for making that happen. And yeah, I even thought about that too. But I said I cannot complain. There's a camera. There's a view. We can see the game, and it's not that bad. And I know what my players look like, so I can tell who's got the ball for the most part at all times. So it was hard to tell what Tampa Bay was doing because you really don't know them too well, or you don't recognize them. But not complaining. It's just a soccer game happening on a baseball field with that camera view. So that's the only odd part. Like you're watching an NYC game. But, yeah. So that's odd. But hey, shout out to them for doing that. And uh, awesome. So that made our day. And now I just wish the Dynamo could have performed a little better on the road, but they did. They won, like you said, and made it to the next round. So we got the double win with the Dynamo team getting it together and making us a nice little TV view, which I think it's still up if you can go back and rewatch the replay if you want to.
it's still up, and that's the only way to rewatch the game because no one else recorded it. And yeah, it's in the tweet. I think it's you can find it on a profile, but it's there.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, they were the MVPs of the game, the communications team. So shout out to them, and yeah, Houston coming out of a 1-0 victory over Tampa Bay to advance to the round of 32 of the Open Cup, and they're going to be facing Sporting Kansas City in the in that round next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but the other one. And oh yeah, it's gonna be a 7-1-3 night, so you better be there. $7 tickets, $1 dogs, $3 beers.
Elimination game too. So yeah, what do we got? Our
Yeah.
Saturday is RSL, and then Wednesday is SKC, and then Saturday again is Seattle. So yeah, three games at home, right there that y'all need to get out to and support the team, especially that Wednesday 7-1-3, like Andreas said. Come on, get out there. Don't worry about
Yep.
the weather.
Yep. And before moving on to the Dash game, would you like to enlighten us with the MLS
All
roundup?
right, yeah, man. Well, we'll just get this one out of the way because this one's got the bad news in it. But Nashville beat Atlanta 3-1, and oh god, Fafa scored. Fafa,
Slow feet.
yeah,
Slow feet don't
slow
eat.
feet don't eat, and he scored. He scored the first goal in the game, make it 1-0, and then Nashville went up 2-0, and so it was whatever. Good for him. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Okay. Glad he finally scored for them. But all right, we'll move it on. Columbus hosted Inter Miami. Miami 2-1 over Columbus. DC hosted Charlotte 3-0. And then the game of the week for the East side was New England hosted Cincinnati, and that looked like that was a pretty good dogfight. Ended up 1-1 right there. So top dogs for the East battling it out. Orlando put Galaxy back in their place, and Orlando wins 2-0 over Galaxy. So Galaxy gets their nice win last week against Austin, and then this week they go back into the slums and they get their butts kicked against Orlando. Toronto beat NYC 1-0. Speaking of Austin, they tied San Jose 2-2 in Austin. I watched a little bit of that when San Jose was up 1-0 and 2-1 both times in that game, and Austin came back to score to tie that one up, and then nobody could win the game. So yeah, they get a draw. So uh, Chicago and Red Bulls tied 1-1. And SKC is still like having troubles. I don't know what the heck's going on over there. They're just hurt or they're just not clicking at all because Montreal goes to SKC and wins 2-0, man. So Montreal's won two in a row now. All of a sudden, crazy right there.
I, I I watched that game mostly because Montreal were missing most of their key players. I do know that they're missing Kyoto as well, and Kyoto, obviously former Dynamo, he's doing pretty great with them. And yeah, they still managed to lose that game, and I think they're 8 or 9 games in, and they still haven't won in the league, which is pretty shocking for me.
Dude, for real. And that's another reason why they can't come into Houston next week, next Wednesday, and come out with an Open Cup win. Give them. Oh, look, we can play soccer. No, get out of here. Forget them. So, nah. But moving on. But Portland goes to St. Louis and gets an upset 2-1 win right there. So St. Louis is kind of coming back down to earth. And then, like I said, Real, Salt Lake, and Seattle played each other yesterday in RSL, and that one was a 0-0 game. Look, it was a little bit of a gritty game. I watched the second half of that, and neither team could put one in. I think there was a goal put in, but it was called back. But otherwise, they fought. So that'll be interesting whenever they come here. Both of them actually. So it'll be good games. So we'll see what happens in those. And then Vancouver and Colorado in the nightcapper last night tied 0-0. And then you got Minnesota and Dallas playing. As we record right now, they're at halftime 0-0. So, like I said, that puts New England and Cincinnati still at the top in the East with 21 points. Atlanta, Nashville, and NYC holding up the rest of the top of it. The Red Bulls friggin' holding down the bottom over there. Montreal's climbed out of the bottom with those two friggin' wins they have. Seattle's leading in the East. No, no, sorry, the East, the West now. So that loss with Seattle, and then I guess the loss with St. Louis, and then that win or that tie for Seattle gets them up top. So Seattle's in first, St. Louis, LAFC, San Jose, Dallas, Houston is 6. Let's go, let's go.
Games in hand, boy. Games in
Yeah,
hand.
that's right. We got another game in
Yeah.
hand. So let's go. We got a plus 2 goal differential, 13 points. So sitting there feeling nice. And Sporting KC, like you said, they're 0-7-3. So 7 losses, 3 draws in 10 games. I ain't got a win yet. LA Galaxy with the 1 win. So they're not having a good time down there at all. So interesting how the MLS is working right now.
Yep. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and switch to the dash. The quote unquote 1-0 loss over North Carolina Courage.
Who
Um,
had courage?
I don't know what to
Who had
say.
who had courage? Nobody had courage.
And WSL for establishing that rule, a silly rule of rainouts and cancel games and all that.
Yeah, man, that, that's that's just it's the y'all they're professionals. They could have figured that out. So I guess it's what it's if you play more than half of a game, then they can call consider that a completed game and call the game at that minute mark, and that's what the NWSL did for the against the Dash and the Courage as we ended play in the 52nd minute because of friggin' lightning in the area, which is good. Be safe, but. Friggin' the storm didn't let up, and I guess the lightning didn't let up, and it took off friggin' night, and so they decided to call it a completed game instead of just letting them spend the night in the hotel and coming back out and continuing up on Saturday morning. But whatever, it is what it is. As far as the game goes, man, I'm not happy with the Dash and the way they were playing at all. They were looking horrible, and another home friggin' game too, looking horrible. So I'm not getting this right now.
No, yeah, the main thing before I get into the game, or at least what I saw from the first half, if if you guys didn't catch what happened in the Dash game, what happened was in the second half, after 7 minutes were played in the second half, a play was stopped because of lightning closer to the stadium, and they stopped play for about 3 hours, and only because of the lightning and not just because of the rain. And yet a play stopped for like 3 hours. I was watching the game from Paramount Plus, and I do recall like Paramount Plus like cut me off, and I wasn't able to rejoin the stream, and I was upset by that because I wasn't able to watch the game again if it were to restart. And I was catching Twitter for like the updates from the club and the team, well, the club and NWSL, sorry, and they didn't provide any updates up until like 11:50, 11:50, 11:40, saying that they were going to resume play at around 11:55 or closer to midnight. And from what I saw, a play was about to start, but then they had to stop the game again because there was lightning in the area before kickoff of like when the play was going to resume in the second half. And because it was like past 3 hours, then the league canceled the game. And based on the rules that they have in place right now, because they played some minutes in the second half, they canceled the game. They were not going to reschedule it again, and they gave them the win to North Carolina. Essentially, the score line stayed the same, and that's bullcrap. And it sucks because we didn't even play a full second half. It was only like 7 minutes, and we didn't even have a chance to get back in the game, which is ridiculous.
And it looked like they were starting to try to get into the flow of the game when this happened. So yeah, that's why it's even hurts even more. You know, being down 1-0 and then the play stops when you come out in the second half, and it looked like the girls were starting to figure it out. And there was a piece change that was made that I think had a lot to do with it too at the same time. But it just sucks because it's just takes away motivation from them, because and you lose at home too, taking it at the same time. So it just sucks. So hopefully they don't let it bother them too much, and next time they play their home game, they'll come out and they'll fight and they'll defend their house and they'll protect their house like the Dynamo are doing right now. 'Cause, man, it's just tough, man. Road warriors, but it's horrible at home. It's crazy.
No, yeah, they know how to pretend that Houston is a road game because it's getting annoying. Like some for some reason they're pretty good on the road, and at home they just do this. Obviously, the weather's not their fault, but if you caught this first half, you will know that the dash looked like they were like going nowhere, like a place where it getting broken down easily. They didn't possess the ball consistently, and it was just all over the place for the wrong reasons. And it was a way different lineup that I was expecting because they play with three in the back, and they also had like Maria Sanchez on the midfield. Even though like on the graphic it kind of looked like they could like shift it back to make like to have like five in the back in some occasions, but yeah, essentially Maria Sanchez was like on midfield along with Sophie Schmidt and Vigiano, and then they had like Havana Solon all the way in the front as a center attacking mid, and they also paired together Diana Ordonez and Ebony Salmon. And I thought it's gonna be interesting because they're gonna try and find more spaces to try and create those plays, but that didn't happen in the first half, like at all. Like nothing happened.
Well, so I'm going to leave Jane Campbell alone this week. Somebody,
Of course, yes.
I mean, she did have to make a couple saves right there. So, like I said, when she's doing well, I'll say she's doing well. So, but this week she didn't make any of the horrible errors that I always catch her doing. But uh, there wasn't one player to me that just was it was really annoying, especially when you're watching on the TV. When you're at the stadium and you're doing it, at least you can yell at her and be like, "Come on, get on your high horse, let's go." But man, Salon, or however you say her name, I did not like the way she was playing at all. She looked like she was out of place. There was no connectability whenever they were trying to work through her. And like you said, she was playing the cam, so she's right under Deanna Ordonez. So Ordonez was expecting some some 1-1-2 play action there with Salon, and Salon just wow. And there's no hustle in her. She wasn't. I didn't see no baby sprints out of her at all. And maybe that's why she was a halftime sub. You did notice that because at halftime she was subbed out. But to me. And of course, if your cam is just like having a horrible game, that's going to mess up some of your chemistry right there. But that stood out to me a lot. Besides the fact that we still can't score, but we didn't have a lot of chances to at the same time. So it's just there was no syncrasy at all. And for friggin' being at home, man, it's nuts. I know it's not like the fans were 14 million fans were at the stadium or anything, but you're at home. You're supposed to feel comfortable right there and play comfortable. They're not doing that right now. But
Yeah, and this is an interesting situation because they didn't have the second half to at least fix things up, or or just let uh, or at least let the game keep going to see if like things were changing because they did a sub in Courtney Peterson in the
yeah,
second half, which obviously she wasn't given a chance to do something, and 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 yeah, they still had like all these options on the bench to see if everything's stuck or not to see if they adapted to the game, but that didn't happen, and and yeah, I just wanted to like focus on the first half because that was horrible, and the opportunity was there to capitalize on the second half to change the game, but that didn't happen, so we can talk about it. So it's just an odd situation all around because like the lineup didn't work, and there's no way for us to know if they made some adjustments to the lineup that they had already, and it's just odd. Like what happened, what happened on Friday? Like I don't know how to explain it.
hey, all I know is I don't get the injury updates. Maybe Andres, you can look into the injury updates for the Dash, but to me it looks like Shea Groom is feeling pretty mobile and looking pretty good. So I'm hoping that she's almost ready to come back because uh, I figure once she's ready to play, she's going to fill in that cam position instead of Salon or Jaleel Anderson or I don't know. We need somebody there that's going to be that going to fill that role that and we know and we can trust. And so come on back, Shea Groom, hurry up, hook 'em horns. But I always got to throw that part in. But she could be a difference maker whenever because this team is struggling right now and and it's obviously not Vigiano and Schmidt. Those two are namestays right there in the middle the entire time. Salmon out on the wing, she's hustling and she's doing her job. She's just not finding that connection. You can't complain about Maria Sanchez. She hustles and she defends and she comes back and she backtracks and everything. And then Ordonez is doing her job. So it just feels like right there that Cam is just missing that one solid piece to and nobody's having a great game right there so far. So come on, Shea Groom, we need you back. And unless your girl Barb can step up and get it, but it looks like she's got some work to do right there. So the cam position's up for grabs, girls. Who wants it? Who wants it?
Look, if Shagro comes back, that's awesome. But that also means that Barbara may not play. So I'm like, no, I mean, but I hope Shagro comes back. That's got to be more options for Dash because they need all the pieces they can get, and they're having an issue with that because they have a lot of players out. So you mentioned Shagro, which she's out with still an injury. Emily Coran still out. Annika Creel still out. Ella Dedrick, like even though she's a goalkeeper, she's still out. Gomera Stevens, she's still out. Devin Kerr, Michelle Prince. That's that's like half a team right there,
Bro.
and it's just ridiculous. And that's just like the players that are out because like questionable. We still have Joel Anderson, Ryan Garris, and Kelsey Hedge and Ali Price still questionable for just to be in the lineup, and yeah, they have a lot of problems, and they have to like move a lot of pieces around to make something work.
Yeah, forgot about those temporary injuries there. With Ryan Gary's not playing this game at all, and so, but uh, you know, uh, I think she looked like she was ready to play too. So maybe she'll be back for this next game because the Dash still have a busy week coming up as well. So move past this friggin' nasty home game because now you got one another friggin' Challenge Cup game against Chicago.
Challenge
Yeah,
Cup.
so who
uh,
wants $1 million? And no telling what Lady will do with the lineup for that game. So I'm hoping maybe he does a mixture instead of doing the whole B team, or just go with his best lineup and just work it game to game. He I don't know. Be interesting, but got a tough home game coming up. Another 7-1-3 night too, I believe.
no, yeah, and the main thing about next week is that I'm curious to see how Sam Lady is going to approach the Challenge Cup game on Wednesday, because we do have that game against the Red Stars at home on Wednesday, but we then have to travel to Oil Rain on Saturday. So it's like, are you gonna save your strong team? Are you gonna change things around with uh, a kind of like a combination of starters and reserves for Wednesday to have those saved for Saturday? And I'm also gonna be looking to the tactics there, because whatever happened on Friday, it didn't work, and they have to stay away from that. And it's gonna be interesting to see how it's going to work next week.
And we've already played Chicago once, and we beat them in Chicago. So this will be a familiar territory. But who's Chicago going to play in their in their game? So they may not play their starting lineup, and that'll change things up. So it'll be interesting to see what Sam Lady does. You now have, I mean, it looks like everybody's back as far as you said Lind was back, or they still got her as Naughton on Foot Mob. Huh? So you got Lynn, you got Jacobs, still Jacobs holding down the middle because I guess Price Sock took a knock or whatever. So hopefully she won't be out long, because I just started praising her a lot on the previous episode, and I need to keep doing that. But
Do it.
yeah, Price Sock, bro. I need. I was like, I'm starting Price Sock becoming my favorite player here, and then she takes a week off, like, but. But I'm happy for Jacobs, who's able to hold down that middle as center back position, because it was Lind out at first, and now it's Price Sox. So and she continues to hold it down right there. So to be curious what they do with Jacobs whenever you got not you got Lind and Price Sox playing again back in the middle, and maybe Jacobs goes back, and we'll see who gets that left back. Is it going to be Chappie or will it be Jacobs?
Mm. It better be Chappy.
I know we talked about this at the beginning of the season, and obviously we didn't factor in the injury. So we all said, well, I said Jacobs was going to be the left, and you said Chappie was going to be the left. So I'm okay with either one because they usually sub each other out for like. So neither one usually plays a full 90. So I'm good with that. So just hey, as long as the girls get it together and start scoring, this team looks like they could be pretty dang good when they get it rolling together. But we'll see. We'll see.
But yeah, Dash moving out of a pretty bad and odd loss on Friday, this past Friday, and 1-0. And before we move on to Dynamo 2, would you like to do us the honors of doing the Indonesia roundup?
Yeah, man, and like you said, loss. So technically, it was our first league loss as well. So we're 1-1-3. Yeah, because I'm not counting that
Yep.
cup loss. So they've lost twice this year, but that was our first league loss. So North Carolina gets their second win. So what do we got? What? So 6 points because three friggin' draws and a win. Moving on. Let's see. Racing and Olo Rain tied 2-2. Olo Rain still sitting up top. Washington and Chicago got a draw 0-0. San Diego at home lost to Orlando Pride 3-1. Orlando Pride getting their first win of the season and doing it at San Diego. And I watched a little bit of that game last night, and that was pretty freaking good for Orlando, dude. To do it there, get their
Yep.
first win of the season too at the same time. And then friggin' Portland continues scoring goals. Monsters. They tied Angel City 3-3. This game was in Portland, so good for Angel City to get up there and take on the Beast and end up tying them 3-3. Freaking Kansas City Current wins again, but this time they beat Gotham. So Gotham loses. KC Current wins 2-0. So I don't know which one I'm happy about in that game. I feel like both of those are my rivals now.
No, yeah, but you love Juan Carlos more, right?
That's why I'm like, damn, well, the Gotham lost. Yeah! But I still can't stand SKC because, they limited us from the playoffs and then they just won again. So,
they're always that pebble in the shoe,
yeah,
like they're
yeah.
annoying.
I can forget about Juan Carlos, but Lady's gonna have to help me forget about Juan Carlos and get some friggin' wins out of that right there. So I don't know what
Yep.
he's waiting on. But real quick, just to top off the standings, it's Portland up top with 11 points, Oilo Rain with 10, and then San Diego, Washington. Houston sitting in sixth, like I said, with 6 points. So doing okay, doing okay. Again, there's only 12 teams, but hey, it's all those draws, so we're not taking losses, even though we did take a loss.
Oh well.
Yeah, yeah.
On the record books, it's officially a loss, but it's always going to have that asterisk.
Rain. No, but whatever. It's fine. It's
I
it's fine. But like you said, that we've got the game on May 3rd. It's the Challenge Cup game. I think it's a 7 o'clock against Chicago. So y'all go check them out on this coming Wednesday here. So you probably listen to this. You got like a day's notice to get out to the stadium and go root on for the Dash, and then again, like you said, on Saturday they play at OL Reign at 9 o'clock. But for most of y'all that are listening to this, you're going to be at the stadium watching the Dynamo. So maybe after you get out, you can watch the second half at one of the bars downtown and see how the girls are doing.
Yep. Go Dash and please no more rain, no more lightning, please. But yeah, let's talk about let's talk about Dynamo 2.
Woohoo!
Finally,
Woohoo! Right.
the trick the trick is to concede the first goal, and this is the second time it happens because it's the second time Dynamo 2 get a win, and it's a 4-1 win on the road against Sporting Kansas City 2. It was a big win, and I was pretty impressed with how the team played in the second half and how it turned things around the first half. And particularly, shout out to Diego Gonzalez. He was the engine of the attack. He was everywhere tonight and just forcing those goals. And they did get two penalties today, which they were scored. The first one was scored by Papa, obviously, and the second one, I believe it was scored by Jair Gonzalez, I think. But yeah, those were pretty. Those goals were pretty well taken. And the last goal, shout out to Isaiah Reed, the MLS Super Draft pick for the Dynamo for scoring his first professional goal. It was a pretty big goal. He was from it was off the break. He outrun the defender, the last defender, and he just put it away from the keeper to put the game away. So big game, and like I said before, they conceded in the third minute of the first half, and then they just came back and scored two goals in the first 20 minutes of the game. So I thought it was gonna be like one of those weird games, but fortunately it went on the favor of Dynamo 2.
Yeah, dude. The way this game started, I'm like, oh, here we go, man. Dang it! We
Yeah.
knew SKC is a good team over there, and so we're like after the first like 10 minutes, and of course they scored the goal. We're like, holy crap! This is gonna
Oh, here we go
yeah, this is
again.
gonna be one of those tough games, man. Oh, but I mean, this it didn't and then it started to change a little bit, and then the little bad taste got out of your mouth, and they were able to just to put some things together to get the effort into the goal boxes, get the penalties, get the penalty drawn, and get that 2-1 lead, and then just continue to push in the second half, and SKC just just didn't look well at all. And there was even a couple new players getting to play for Donados tonight. But like you said, Diego Gonzalez and then Yair Gonzalez had they both had excellent games. Of course, Diego he's the one that keeps standing out on a week to week basis. But last tonight was the Gonzalez show. Those two were looking pretty well on the left side and in the midfield right there. And Papa looked okay. You know, Evans kind of looking running around looking like Baird because he's always hustling and trying to find the ball, but then whenever he's attacking, I did see him make a few good runs tonight when he was on the ball. So I'm not gonna completely call him Baird. That'd be rude. But sorry.
Oh no, no. I mean, like to give credit to Jacob Evans, like you can say that he's kind of like a bear player because he draws the fouls and can create the plays for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, and that's a good thing. You're still like contributing to the team, but I mean, shout out to Jacob Evans. Like, he was just like running everywhere, just getting the ball and forcing the defenders to like a foul or something like that, and it worked like in most occasions. And I also wanted to say that Sig Soto, also shout out to him because I didn't like how he played initially to start the season. Like I thought it was like looking lost whenever he stepped into the field, and he started this game, and he made some contributions as well. And shout out to Sig Soto overall because he's he's getting called up to the youth national team, and I expect more of him. And he's starting to show up, so that's awesome to see.
It's got to be shown in practice because he keeps getting playing time, which is good. Which hey, we need attacking players on the Dynamo, and so hopefully they're finding something, and he's going to hit the spark and just boom because he's an exciting little player right there. Jacob Evans, going back to him. I'm sorry, bro. You got to score if you're going to be a striker, man. Don't fall into this whatever the Dynamo are trying to pull up on the first team. So just try to score. Just try to score, please. We need strikers to score.
No, yeah, and this broadcast was so funny because I was watching the game on Apple TV, and a lot of things happened. Like throughout the game, there was like this metal screeching that was getting picked up by the mic, and it was so annoying. Like I was like, oh my god, stop, please, adjust the audio settings or something. And that, and when Houston put the game away after the third and fourth goals, like you could hear the parents on the sidelines just yelling at the ref because of some calls like that the ref was making, and especially in the fourth goal, there were the Dynamo 2 were celebrating like the team goal like on the corner, and the parents on the sideline were counting down the stoppage time for the referee to put on the clock. And it was so funny to me because they were just like celebrating, like having a good time, and you can hear in the background like the parents counting down the time upwards, and it was so funny for me. And yeah, it was silly.
Dude, you're right. Besides that damn swing set that's right by the camera or the microphone, someone tear that damn swing set down before we play SKC again. It was screech, 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 screech. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but and uh, that yeah, you're right. That was funny with the fans countdown. And hey, I guess when you're losing 4-1, you got to find something else to do, or you're just going to be sitting there all stubborn and bored. Like so, hey, help the referee out.
I was so confused because everyone in the world wastes time if they're winning. Everyone, like if
Yeah,
if if they were in that position, they would have done the same. So like it's like, come on, man, like everyone does it.
right, right. Like I said, they were just bored. They had nothing else to root for. So there's something they could win, and I guess
Yeah.
that's what they do in Kansas City.
Oh well.
Yeah.
They are, so yeah, a big win for the Dynamo 2 with a 4-1 win on the road, the second win of the season finally. And I'm gonna say it again: concede the first goal, please. because every single time we score the first goal, we'll lose the game so far this season. So concede the first goal, and we'll be good. And yeah, they do have their next game next Sunday on the road again against Whitecaps too. And I saw one of the stats during the game that I think in the last 5 games, Vancouver scored like 15 goals already, which is insane. So we gotta be careful there.
Yeah, we're got to slow them down right there. Wow, that'll be a fun one to watch then. Woo. Okay, well,
No,
stay
yeah,
tuned.
no, yeah, and while we're in the win, can you give us an outlook as to what we're doing in the standings and how the roundup for the MLS Next Pro?
Yeah, man. So just real quick, our rivals and pretty much our in-state rivals in SKC. So ATX played Minnesota, hosted Minnesota. They tied 1-1. Ended up going to penalty kicks and winning 6-5. So they had to go into an extra penalty kick too to make sure they won that game. So they got 2 points out of that game against Minnesota. So they continue to lead the friggin' Western Conference somehow. And then, bro, I was just kind of scrolling through looking for everybody else. New England and Cincinnati had a 5-5 game.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was crazy.
Dude, like I would just want to go back and watch that game for the fun of it, and then penalties was 5-4, and New England ended up winning that game. So like you were missing the shots during
That's
the game, and
crazy.
then nobody was missing the penalties. Like yeah, that was gonna be worth going back to watch. 5-5, New England 5 and Cincinnati 5. That's friggin' nuts. But looking for the rest, North Texas, which they're starting to really show out that they're in the slumps. They went to Colorado and they lost 4-2, so they're not having a good season at all right there. And then San Jose went to LAFC and they ended up winning 1-0. Then of course our game 4-1. Why did I say San Jose? I was thinking that was SKC. So sorry, forget about them. Forget about them. But uh, so when you go and you look at the standings, I'll do overall this time. When you go to the Western Conference, so actually now because of they're doing points per game because not everybody's played the same amount of game. Colorado, who just beat North Texas, is leading, and Donados has played once already this season. They're leading the top right there. Yeah, we don't want to go back and rehash that Colorado game, but
Yeah.
But they're leading the West. ATX is coming in second. Vancouver, who we're going to, they're sitting in friggin' third place right now in the West. So it's crazy. And somehow North Texas is, yeah, I just knocked them for not looking like they're having a good season, but they're sixth place in the West. And there's Houston sitting in ninth place in the West. Ninth place total with 1.33 points per game. It looks like we've gotten. Whew, 8 points and played 6 games so far. So we got to do better than that. We got to do better, bro. So that's your next pro roundup.
Yep. And before we close the weekend, let's go ahead and talk about some of the news that happened this past week, particularly involving the signing, finally, the signing that was rumored to be of Ibrahim Aliyu, the 21-year-old Nigerian international, for coming to Houston now. He comes in the day that the MLS transfer window was set to close, at least the one for this time around before the summer. And it was expected at this point. I think Tom Bogert leaked it around a couple weeks ago, and we were all expecting at this point. And I was surprised to see that this transfer was not a loan. It's actually a 3-year loan, which it just goes to show that Pat Onset and Asher Mellison are pretty confident with this signing, and because they've been using a lot of they're using the mechanism of loans to see if a player works out or not. And when it comes to Ibrahim, it's going to be interesting because he can play as a nine and he can also play on the wing. So that's going to be a pretty helpful piece for Ben Olsen to figure out what to do with Corey Barrett, and or just putting it on the wing, or at least to start Sebas and put Ibrahim next to him. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he's set up. And at least on Twitter, like Asher Mullisum seemed high on him, and I'm not sure how you can see how he's got to be utilized, maybe as a winger or a striker. What do you think?
Yeah, that's still going to be up in the air as far as what position he's going to come in and play. But let's get him in the door. I think all we're waiting on is medical, so hopefully he'll be in sooner than later and start getting some time in there and with the team and then pop in. I imagine probably he'll start off on the wing, and of course Barrett will be your friggin' striker. And yeah, and Franco will go back to being Bossi's sub, or maybe Franco will be the sub for both sides with Aliyu getting the start at right wing. I would like to see him at the striker and put Barrett back on the wing. If we're not going to give Sebas a chance, because Aliyu is that type of striker that Ben wants, but this guy can actually score. So he's Baird times three or whatever. But he's a U22 initiative, so he's not costing us anything under our salary. I think it's only 200K as far as the rule is. But it'll be interesting, man. But it was funny, and then I don't know if you read the Bio City Soccer whenever they put their articles out, but you know we got La Hinchada Discord, and somebody came.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so somebody came in and popped in and said, "Hey, Pat is in Croatia," and so that just started some people just started just doing their research and their digging. So it's with season in play. It's obviously he's in Croatia, so he's watching a player that's in a Croatian league. Not a Croatian, not just a Croatian player, because that Croatian player would be with whatever team he's with. So we figured, all right, it's Croatian league. It's not a Croatian player. I mean, it still could be a Croatian player though. So then they just kind of did a transfer market list. I think this was Jake from Dynamo Faithful. It did. He just kind of put a list together and then started doing research on the players. And then another guy, I think this guy was Tony. Tony, you're Tony. He
yeah.
started doing some research himself and was finding out who was following who on the social media platforms, and Aliyu was fitting the friggin' bills, and so it was kind of 2 plus 2 equaled 4, and then it just came out, and then it was announced that this is what happened. So it was pretty cool that these guys just put two and two together, but all you needed was a little bit of information, and all we were given was a friggin' Pat is in Croatia. and,
No, yeah. And it was interesting when they shared the article, because I do recall seeing that in the Inchada Discord server, people were going through the Croatian first division, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I looked at chat, and yeah, they rumored that the next signing is gonna be a signing from Croatia. They were doing the spreadsheets of the players, and they were just like tracking down who's gonna be which player, and yeah, it's just funny how that turned out. So shout out to Lanchala and Pupas for that. and yeah, and just to go back to how it's gonna look like in the lineup, I definitely think he's gonna be starting out as a winger. It's definitely at this point to have a player to rotate with Franco, or at least have Franco start from the bench for now, and 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 just to figure out what to do with Corey Baird, because I feel like he can still start as a nine, I guess, if we have Ibrahim on the wing, but yeah, it's just like a lot of pieces to play with now, considering that Ibrahim can play as a nine still, if Ben Olsen feels like starting him as a nine.
Hey, maybe he's the type of winger that can create some action that'll feed off of Sebas, so Sebas can get back to his nine, and Baird might have to come back off the bench. But no, either way I see it, it'll be Ibrahim and Baird, or Baird and Ibrahim right now, and, until Sebas can just find his way to get back in, get his starting position back. I don't know. He needed to score against Tampa Bay and didn't do it. So he needs, once he gets back on the, maybe once he comes in on against RSL and it's 0-0 in the 65th minute mark, then I want to see a brace from him from like 3 minutes apart, and then just then get it back, and then Aliyu can come in, and then Aliyu can start feeding him crosses, and then Sebas is back. No, I don't know. I don't know. I think Aliyu though he'll be a benefit, and like you said, it's not a loan, it's a buy. So they obviously believe in the information they're being fed. They went and saw him personally, and they said they saw him more than one time too. So they didn't just go to one game and be like, okay, I like this guy. And of course, they were fed the information through the analytics department at the same time. So they did their research, they did their due diligence. So this hopefully won't fall into that list of bad U loans or U22s or the ones that have not worked out. The Bahimovic, the Tigawino, those last ones, man. So I think this one will work out. But let's get him in and let's see what he can do on the pitch.
Yep. No, and I'm excited for that. And yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for the episode. Thank you guys for tuning in this late, and yeah, you know how to do it. And I was gonna say stay noodle for now, but I don't know if you want to say something
It's
before we head
always
out.
just H is up, brother. H is up, and y'all know where to find us. Hit us
Yes,
up.
sir.
Got a busy week. Got the game on Wednesday with the Dash, and then 3 games this weekend with the Dash, Dynamo, and Dose. But you know how we do it. H is up, forever orange. See the flags in the background waving.
Yeah, guys, stay noodle.
Stay noodle.